what's up you guys? So today I wanted to go through some of my 2021 most anticipated releases as well as some of my goals for 2021, both reading and non-reading. So let's start off with going through some of the books. So I've just listed out 9 books that I'm kind of excited for coming in this next year. I don't know how long this video is going to be because I don't normally go into books knowing a whole lot, so I'm not going to have a whole lot to say other than look at this book, it looks pretty and it looks interesting. So let's just kick it off with the first book, which is An Emotion of Great Delight by Tahera Mafi. Now, this is a book set in 2003, right after the onset of the Iraqi war, like the US-Iraqi war. And this book follows a young Muslim girl as she is just experiencing life and how she goes through the tension and the rise of hate crimes, especially towards Muslims during that time. And so I think this is just going to be a very impactful read. And I think that it is really relevant to today's culture and how hateful people can really be. So I think it's going to be a great read to pick up, and I'm really excited to get to it and get some more of Tahera Mafi's writing style. I really loved Shatter Me by her. I read that whole series. I have not read the newer books that have come out more recently, but I would like to pick those up soon. But I do really love her writing style. I think that she is very artistic in the words that she uses, and so I think that is really going to help facilitate a type of story like this where it does cover some pretty harsh topics. So I really do want to pick this up and just get to know a little bit more inside what it is like to be someone who gets discriminated against in that way. So the next book that is on my list that I'm excited for is Lore by Alexandra Bracken. I'm sure you all know who Alexandra Bracken is. She wrote The Darkest Minds, she wrote Never Fade, and she wrote In the Afterlight, that whole series. And so I read The Darkest Minds and I read Never Fade, and I really enjoyed both of those books. I really enjoyed how she developed relationships and how the characters grew. I just loved that series overall. I never wound up finishing it though, which really upsets me. But maybe one day I'll finish it. I don't know. We'll see. It depends on if I really want to pick up another dystopian series ever again, because we all got burnt on dystopian back in the day. I recently picked up Uglies and I've been reading it, and it's so weird reading a dystopian again. But anyways, back to Lore. Lore follows the events after 9 great gods and goddesses are forced to walk the earth every 7 years, and that's all I really know about it. So it seems like it's going to be really interesting. I do believe that it takes place in New York City, and I really love New York City as a setting for places, even though I've never been there. It is somewhere that I've always wanted to travel, so I definitely love reading stories that are set in New York City. And so this book just looks like it's going to be a lot of fun to read. It looks like it's going to be something that I'm really going to enjoy, so hopefully I will be able to get that next year and pick that up as well. The next book on my list is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. So this is a book about a person of color, written by a person of color, so that is a definite plus for me. This book is about a girl who goes to Vegas after she has gotten her PhD, and so she winds up marrying someone in Vegas, a complete stranger, I believe, drunkenly, and so it seems like it's going to be really fun. It is a female-female romance as well, which is another thing that I'm really excited to read. I haven't read many female-female romances at all, I don't think. I've read like guy-on-guy romances before, but I've never read a female-female, so I am really excited to read this and dive into that. The next book on my list is Remote Control by, I don't know how to pronounce it, I do apologize. I am not the best at names. I believe we've established that, and so I really don't want to butcher this one. Is it Nnedi, Okarafor? Sorry. So all I really know about this book is that it is a science fiction book that involves aliens, and that Veronica Roth actually blurbed on the cover. So I'm really curious to pick that up. I do like some of Veronica Roth's writing, so I am curious to see if this is going to be something that I'm going to enjoy, and I've really wanted to pick up a new sci-fi for a long time now, and so this looks like it's going to be a great sci-fi to pick up, especially because I think it is a young adult sci-fi, which we don't get a lot of young adult sci-fi, so I really am looking forward to this book. The next book is probably one of the ones that I'm most anticipating, which is The Gilded Ones by Forna. Again, can't pronounce names. So this is a young adult fantasy that is written by a person of color about a person of color again, so definitely a plus there. And so this story just looks really interesting. Okay, I'm just gonna read the description. So 16-year-old Decca lives in fear and anticipation of the blood ceremony that will determine whether she will be a member of her village. village. Already different from everyone else because of her unnatural intuition, Decca prays for red blood so she can finally feel like she belongs. But on the day of the ceremony, her blood runs gold, the color of impurity, and Decca knows she will face a consequence worse than death. Then a mysterious woman comes to her with a choice: stay in the village and submit to her fate, or leave to fight for the emperor and an army of girls just like her. They are called Aliki, near immortal with rare gifts, and they are the only ones who can stop the Empire's greatest threat. Knowing the dangers that lie ahead, yet yearning for acceptance, Decca decides to lead the only life she's ever known, but as she journeys to the capital to train for the biggest battle of her life, she will discover that the Great Walled City holds many surprises. Nothing and no one are quite what they seem to be, not even Decca herself. So this book just sounds so interesting based off of that alone, and like I love how this blurb doesn't give you like too much, you know? Like I feel like some blurbs give you way too much. This one literally just sets up the story. Like this feels like it's gonna be like first few chapters, if that. So I'm really excited to pick this up and see what this story is gonna be about. It honestly is probably the one that I'm most excited for picking up because it just seems so great. And I do know that fans of Children of Blood and Bone is like one of the blurbs that's on here. Fans of Children of Blood and Bone, Mulan, and Black Panther are going to adore this. And so I love Mulan, I love Black Panther. I haven't read Children of Blood and Bone yet, but like that book really, I'm going to love it. I can almost guarantee you I will love it. If I don't love it, I'm gonna be really surprised with myself. I genuinely know when I'm going to go into a book and really love it, and that one I just know I'm gonna love. The next book on my list is called Witches Steeped in Gold by Ciannon Smart. This one, the cover just really got me. And again, I can't pronounce names. So this is another fantasy story that I believe is written by someone of color about someone of color. So gonna be a great thing there again. But this is about two rival witches forming a pact together to kind of take down a mutual threat. And I'm just so curious to see what the story is really going to be about, honestly, because it looks so interesting and I just absolutely adore the cover. Like the cover is probably one of my favorite covers that's coming out next year. So it's expected on April 20th. So we've got a few months left for that one. So the next book on my list is the last book of the A Curse So Dark and Lonely series, A Vow So Bold and Deadly, and I believe that comes out January 29th. No, sorry, I believe that comes out sometime in January. Yeah, it's expected on January 19th. So this series overall has just looked really interesting to me, and I recently discovered that the main character in the series actually has cerebral palsy. So that just makes me want to pick it up, honestly, even more, because I feel like I haven't read a fantasy series where someone was differently abled before like that. So I really want to pick it up and see what that's about because that sounds so interesting to me. So I'm really excited for it and I really want to pick up this series and I really just want to read this whole series all at once because this sounds like a series that's going to be so in my wheelhouse that I'm just going to love and I'm going to want to read back to back to back. So I really am excited for this so that I can read this series. I'm probably going to aim to read it in January because the last book comes out in January, so perfect time to read it. So if anyone wants to read this series with me, comment down below. I'd love to read it with you guys. That's what's going to be happening with that. Really excited. I can't wait to pick up some of these books, honestly. Another book that I'm really excited for is the last book of Children of Blood and Bone. This book, I'm not sure if it has a title yet. I haven't been able to find one, but I do know that Tomi Adeyemi, she has posted on the internet that it is set to come out sometime in 2021. So I'm assuming that it's just going to come out later in the year, which is fine. But that also means that it's going to be longer for me to get to Children of Blood and Bone, which is upsetting because that series really looks like it's going to be something that I'm going to love. So I might honestly just start that series anyways, and then, you know, do a little reread right before the book comes out or something. I don't know. We'll see. Because Children of Blood and Bone, I really think I'm gonna love it. Like, everything that I've seen, I think I'm gonna love it. I don't know that much about it going into it, which I don't want to. All I really want to know is what I know right now, which is that the mythology that it is based in is African mythology. And so that is something that I really want to dive into and understand more, because when I thought about it and when I actually like looked at like what mythology that was based on, I realized that as far as the mythologies that I've read, like the fantasy novels that have inspired the fantasies that I've read, they haven't really been like African inspired. They've always been European or Russian or sometimes Chinese inspired, but that's really kind of like the area that my mythologies encompass, and so I haven't touched anything African yet, and so that's what I'm really excited for there, is just widening my knowledge base and like something that's going to be different. I'm excited for it. And then the last book on my list is Better Together by Christine Riccio. I absolutely love Poem Bananas books, and I read her first book. It wasn't the best book I've ever read by any means. I don't understand why people like hate it as much as they do, because it's not terrible. It's just one of those things where it's like there are a lot of personal details about her in it that I don't don't know if they're necessary or not, but like it's one of those things where like I don't know if I would find this an issue if I did not know so much about her going into the book. Like I know so many details about Christine Riccio and her life because I watched her videos for years now. So it's one of those things where I don't know if that's actually an issue or if other writers do that and I've just never noticed it before because I don't know the details of their life. I don't know what relationships they've been in. I don't know, you know, what they've been doing with their life. I don't know that they name their laptops. That's why I'm really curious to pick up her book. I want to see if her writing style has really developed and improved, and I just really enjoy her content, and I feel like I kind of owe it to her for being a fan this long to just see what she's put out in the world. So I am excited to read that book, get that book, and see what's going on there. So some shows that I am excited for coming out in 2021, the first one being Shadow and Bone. I'm so excited. I think this comes out in January, so I'm just like, I'm literally sitting here waiting. Like that's all I'm doing. I'm just sitting staring at my TV being like, okay, when is Shadow and Bone gonna come out? So I read this series earlier this year and it wasn't the best series in the world, but Six of Crows broke my soul. Six of Crows made my life so much better than it's ever been before. So I'm so excited for this TV series. Another TV series I'm really excited for is Winx Club. Okay, hear me out. So there's a live action remake of Winx Club and it looks targeted towards people like young adult age. So I'm curious about it. Like I don't understand why Netflix was like, this is what we need. Like, what? I'm sorry, I know that I mentioned this in a vlog recently, but I can't get over it. I keep rewatching the trailer thinking that like it's gonna somehow change and be like targeted to children, but no, it never does. So I'm just really curious, honestly. And then the last show on my list right now is Percy Jackson. I believe that is going to be coming to Disney Plus, and I can't remember if it's supposed to be animated or not, but I'm really excited for it because I love Percy Jackson and the movies did so poorly. Like the movies are trash. Don't watch them unless you want to like watch them and tear them apart because they are not good movies. So I'm just looking forward to that series coming out so that I can watch it and love it and hopefully love it. I'm so scared I'm not gonna love it. So now let's talk some about my resolutions for next year. So the first thing that is kind of like a resolution for me is NaNoWriMo. I want to try to do that next year. Does that mean I'm going to? I don't know, but we'll see. I'm just gonna try. I'm gonna come up with some stupid idea and then I'm just gonna try and see if that's something that I'm able to do. I also want to finish everything that is currently on my TBR. I'm almost on track to kind of do that probably by I'd say like middle of the year next year because right now I don't have as much on there as I nearly did like a month ago. Granted, I've read like 10 books already this month because I have nothing else to do with my life right now. But like right now, I've really only got 10 books left on there. Granted, they are some middle of the series books, so I have to do some rereading to get to them, or like they're the start of a series, and so I have to read the whole series together. But I am pretty much on track to finish everything that's on my TBR currently, which has me excited because I really like to own books, but I like to own the books that I've read. So it's kind of like my TBR part of the shelf is like my part of the shelf that I'm not proud of, you know, like every other part of the shelf I can like point at and I can say I read that book, I thought this about that book, but my TBR part I can't say that with. So I really want to shrink that down a little bit and get more specific and intentional about the books that I buy, so that I buy books that I want. Another bookish resolution for next year is I would like to try to read 60 books. This year I am on track to finish the 50 that I had planned to, so next year I want to try to step that up and do 60. I don't think it's going to be necessarily terribly difficult, especially because next year is my senior year of classes, so first semester, I'm gonna graduate in December, so first semester I'm going to be taking like 5 classes, and then the next semester I literally only have 2 classes that I'm gonna need after that, so I'm gonna have some time on my hands, I think. So I think that reading a few more books next year shouldn't be overly difficult. Some non-bookish resolutions, I want to drink less Dr. Pepper. I don't know if y'all have been able to tell this or not, but I drink solely Dr. Pepper. So next year, my goal is to just slowly knock that down until I'm only drinking Dr. Pepper on like special occasions because like, it's such a problem. But that probably won't happen. That's been a resolution for years now for me, so It's not gonna happen, but it's nice to say it. I also want to try to start working out. Again, not gonna happen, but I'll probably do it for a few weeks in January. So anyways, that is my 2021 most anticipated releases as well as my resolutions. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, comment. If you would like to read any of the books that I would like to read, comment down below. I'd love to like set up some buddy reads, especially with the A Curse So Dark and Lonely series in January. So comment down below. Let's do that. I will see you in my next video. Bye!